Welcome to the Ben Wood Johnson podcast. You can visit Dr. Johnson's blog at benwoodpost.com. Dr. Johnson's works can be found at drbenwoodjohnson.com. You can also support Dr. Johnson on Patreon, the link to which is in the description. Welcome to the Ben Wood Johnson podcast. This is Dr. Johnson. Today is October the 8th, 2018, and this is podcast number 19. Today we are going to talk about thoughts. We are going to discuss, albeit briefly, the concept of human thinking. When I say cogito ergo philosophus, the fundamental idea I am trying to articulate is the notion that human beings have the capacity to think. So we are going to talk about the notion of human thinking abilities. But what is a thought? Now, this is a much contested question. There are no definitive answers about this question. Nonetheless, let me take a stab at it here. There are various approaches to the concept of human thinking. Some of these approaches are biological in nature. Other approaches are based on neurological understandings about the brain. Some approaches deal with the psychological realities of the human brain. Here, I will take a philosophical approach. My argument is that the human brain is more powerful than most would admit. It is more potent than most people realize. The potentiality of the human brain is the essence of the human being. Awareness, as I will debate here, is an important aspect of the humanness. In this podcast, I will discuss this aspect of the debate. So, without further ado, let us delve right into it. A human thought. What is a thought? I discussed this idea in greater length in several other works. But for now, let us say that a thought is an expression of a mental reflex. A thought is as simple as recognizing an event. It is as simple as acknowledging an entity. It is a tangible state of awareness. So, it is a way of becoming aware of one's beingness in the world, or becoming aware of one's state of being in nature. Now, in laying down this argument, I understand that my contentions might not spell out the true characteristics of human thought producing. That being said, I understand that the previous explanation might seem confusing to some. Many of you might consider it vague. Some of you might even say that it is illogical. Now, I will not delve in this aspect of the debate. Nonetheless, I will say this much. A thought is a conversation. It is a conversation that the person is having with the self. But is that all there is to a thought? Well, I would say no. There is more to the act of thinking than a mere psychological state of being in the world. There is more to a thought than a mere conversation, I would say. But something else is occurring in the consciousness. The question is, what could this be? In this case, I would say that this is where the argument might seem a bit disjointed to some people, right? Now, I would not challenge any disagreement to what I have said here thus far. I agree that the act of producing thoughts may entail more than just a conversation with the self. I do not dispute that. So I understand that a thought may include an array of attributions, many of which are independent in their own way. But we could define the act of thinking as a physical ability. We could define it as a mental nimbleness, if you will. But a thought is not an autonomous process in itself. So a thought could involve several body parts or organs. For example, a thought may include the eyes, the ears, the nose, and other sensory parts of the body, both inside and outside of the body. Okay? But a thought, at least consciously, may include the brain, which in turn may serve as a catalytic force for human awareness. Overall, there is more to a thought than saying it is a conversation. There's definitely more to the notion of human thinking than you might think. And in that sense, there's more to human thinking than what is known. But in relation to the cogito, when I say cogito ergo philosophus, what I'm trying to say is that there is an inextricable link between thought-producing philosophy and human survival. Now the question is, how do we identify that link? Well, in the next podcast, I will elaborate further on this notion. So stay tuned.